If somebody slices a return to me, I'm thinking drive all day. Their slice is my topspin. So since they've sliced it, I can impart a lot of topspin on the ball, and I'm thinking drive. But if it's short, and I'm thinking about too many things before I'm about to hit my third shot. So a short slice return, from what I've seen, has been very effective at levels below pro. Okay, so thank you for tuning in to another one of my episodes. This is going to be on the return of serve. So as the serve has gotten significantly more important in pickleball over the last few years, as most of us have probably heard, the return of serve gets more important too, because those two shots are always going to be related to each other. So the return of serve is interesting. At the pro level, for the most part, you do not want to be slicing your returns. You definitely don't want to be leaving them short too often. And you kind of just want to stick to a consistent, good, hard, and deep return. But most players that play pickleball are not professional players. Most players are of a bunch of different levels, and I've seen all the levels that have played, and I think that actually some variance in the return can be helpful as you go down in level. So I would say if you're not playing at the pro level, mixing up the return can be definitely a valid strategy. I would say one way to do it is going for the high cross-court return. So I've talked about the high cross-court return pretty often, especially when you're unwinding a stack. So if you're unwinding a stack, you're going to be in a rush to get to the kitchen line, especially if you're playing against somebody that has a big serve and a big drive, and you're kind of getting caught in the transition zone when you're hitting your fourth. So when I'm playing against somebody that is catching me in the transition zone when I'm hitting my fourth and I'm unwinding a stack, I will mix in a high cross-court return because of two reasons. If you go cross-court instead of down the line, you have an extra 4 or 5 feet of space because of the geometry of the court. And also if you go high over the net, you give yourself more time to get up there because they do have to let the return bounce. That might be one of the first things you learned in pickleball. So they've got to let it bounce. You give yourself all that time to run in and then capitalize, get all the way up to the kitchen line when you actually make contact with your fourth. There's a couple other things with the return. An interesting thing to do, as long as you're not unwinding the stack. If you're not unwinding a stack, if you're just going from return straight up to the kitchen, then you can mix in the short slice return. So there's one main reason why a short slice return I think is helpful. So you're taught in pickleball, I would hope by now, that if a return is deeper, you should be more likely to drive it, and if it's shorter, you should be more likely to drop it. At the pro level, you see this is pretty much it's consensus. If it's a deeper return and I'm hitting my third shot, I'm just going to try to drive that ball instead of trying to hit a perfect drop from behind the baseline. It's just a lot easier. So then if you slice a short return, especially at a lower level, you can confuse the other player because if somebody slices a return to me, I'm thinking drive all day. The reason I'm thinking drive is because if they slice it, their slice is my topspin. So since they've sliced it, I can impart a lot of topspin on the ball, and I'm thinking drive. But if it's short, then I'm like, okay, well, I was thinking drive because I saw that it was a slice, but now it's short, and now I'm thinking drop, and I'm thinking about too many things before I'm about to hit my third shot. So a short slice return, from what I've seen, has been very effective at levels below pro. So you can try to mix that in. I would recommend going cross-court with it. I think it's easier to go cross-court with a short slice return because you have a little more space. And if you go cross-court, you're going over the middle of the net, which is a little shorter than the sides. But in general, try to mix up the short slice return and see what you can do because against certain players, it can be really effective. I've seen some pretty solid players that have no answer for the short slice return. So maybe even getting a little side spin on it if it's a backhand, going from left to right if you're a righty, that could help you. So just give that a shot and see what it does. I think one drawback to the short slice return, if somebody's crushing a serve to you, then you could be in a tough spot trying to slice a return. If somebody's hitting a harder serve to me, I will just try to bunt it back. I'm not going to try to go for a lot of slice. It's just tough because your paddle face is already open on a slice. Since your paddle face is open, if the ball is hit hard to you, then your ball is going to go upward. And then a short high slice return, for the record, is not what we want. We want a short low slice return. A short high slice return is not what I'm trying to teach you guys to do. So let me just make that clear. Short, low slice. so that they have to go from low to high, and they're basically forced to think, okay, do I drive, do I drop this ball, and they're not really sure what to do. If you go high, slice return, they're just going to drive the ball, and your partner or yourself is going to be in a lot of trouble. So another thing is the lob return. The lob return can be a sneaky good play, especially if you're playing if you yourself and your partner feel comfortable handling drives. So if you're playing against somebody that's hitting some great drives at you, then I probably wouldn't recommend a lob return unless it's the occasional cross-court high return. That's a little different from a lob return. A lob return is a little higher even than the cross-court high return that I'm teaching you to do. If you're going with a lob return, probably don't use it against somebody that has a lot of power, because if they can make contact above the height of the net, they can hit a very good drive, especially one through the middle that you're not really sure is yours or your partner's. And if you're unwinding a stack especially, that can cause some problems. But if you're going straight from baseline to net, you're not really unwinding any stacks, then I would say a lob return can be helpful because it gives you a lot of time to get up there. And it also makes it so that the person you're playing against, as long as they can't hit a hard drive, they've got to hit an awkward shot from here. You're not hitting too many third shots from up here, especially if you're dropping. One of the things that you're taught too when you're hitting a topspin drop is to let it come down. So if it's somebody that loves it at a drop, well, they're waiting for the height, bounce, waiting for it to come down, and you've got so much time to get up to the kitchen by the time that that apex of that bounce has now gone down, and then they're making contact where they feel comfortable. So just to reiterate that, if you're in a situation, well, think about this. Where do you feel most comfortable making contact with the ball when you're hitting a topspin drop? Probably down by the height of your knees. I like to wait for it to come down here. I don't like to hit a topspin drop up here. I can hit a drive up here, but a drop, not really. So if you're playing against somebody that doesn't love their drive and likes their drop better, high lob returns can be very helpful. Another thing is if you're playing with a team or playing against a team that has a tough time with middle communication, lefty-righty teams can do this, or if you're playing against a righty team that has a lot of middle issues, go a little closer to the right side player. If you go right to the middle, the left side player normally will know that it's theirs. That's actually not the best spot to generate middle confusion. If you see 4-0s and 3-5s play, there is a lot of middle confusion that goes on. I think the best thing to do is maybe bring it a foot closer to that right side player instead of the left side player, because that's the true middle. If you think about what the true middle is in terms of what they're thinking, is this mine? Is this my partner's? If it's right in the middle, the left side player should know that it's theirs. Hey guys, James Ignatowich here. Make sure to not get ghosted in the pickleball group chat. Play more. We all know the feeling. You're down to play some pickleball. You send a message to your group chat. A couple people like the message. Are you sure you're going to play the game? You don't really know. Play More is a new pickleball app that does that frustrating part for you. I hate setting up games. I try to make sure somebody else does it every single time. But if I have the Play More app, it changes everything for me. So you're going to be playing with players your level. No more 5-0 versus 3-0 matchups. It's going to be all streamlined and super easy. So make sure to check out the Play More app. Try it out on the App Store or use the web version at getplaymore.com. Okay, so another thing we can talk about too is just attacking cross court. The more you watch the pros, the more you see that cross court attacks are pretty commonplace. I know you kind of go around, and I've taught a bunch of clinics where people are like, hey, you want to only attack down the line, you don't want to attack cross court. And I get the reason why somebody would say that. If you attack down the line, you're closer to the other person, so they have less time to react. But if you attack cross court, you're going over the middle height of the net, which is 2 inches lower than the side, and you have more space to hit the ball into. Again, because of the geometry of the court, you've got an extra 4 or 5 feet of space that way. So attacking cross court, you can hit that ball harder. The other thing is it's a lot tougher to get out of the way of an attack that's coming cross court than one that's going straight down the line. So if it's coming cross court, I think for me, my hardest speed ups and sometimes my best speed ups, especially ones out of the air as backhand flicks, go cross court. It's so tough to get out of the way of that ball. You have so much more room to hit the ball too. So yeah, if anybody tells you don't attack cross court, just don't listen, or just attack them cross court. Right? That was kind of funny. Yeah, just don't listen to them, because attacking cross court is such a great thing to do. And if you watch the pros, we're attacking cross court all the time, especially out of the air. So there's a little bit of a misconception there, which is that if you're going to attack cross court, you should only attack cross court out of the air. I've heard that too. So I am saying that if you're attacking cross court, it's better to do so out of the air, because you can lean in and then make it so that there's less time for them to react because you're closer to them. But if you're attacking cross court off the bounce, that's okay too. For me, when I attack cross court off the bounce, I like to do it on the backhand side more than the forehand side. I like to let it come this way and then go at the chest of the player that's cross court from me. And if you think about it this way, so let's say you're on the left side and you're attacking the opposing left side player, and you have a backhand right at your left foot area. In that area, that left side player that's cross court from you is probably thinking, okay, I'm going to sit forehand in the middle because that's what I'm taught to do. Their partner's covering the line, the left side player is covering the middle, and they're sitting forehand. So a great thing to do is just to go right to their left shoulder or their left hip, because then they're going to do this. And if you're switching from a forehand to a backhand, you're not going to generate a hard counter. So this is kind of another pro tip. If somebody's sitting backhand and then they switch to a forehand, if they're a good player and they can switch pretty quickly, I feel like I can do this too, right? You can switch to a forehand and still hit a good forehand. But if somebody's sitting forehand and then they switch to their backhand side, they're not going to generate a hard counter. They're just going to reset that ball. Almost nobody's going to sit forehand, backhand, and then bring it back. It doesn't really happen. So if you can get somebody in a situation where they're sitting forehand and then you go to their backhand side, you can make it so that you protect yourself in the sense that you know you're going to very least just make it so they can only reset the ball, if not actually hit a winner on the shot. Another thing is when you're defending cross-court attacks, this is very helpful. You actually want to shade toward the middle. You don't want to move to your left if you're on the left or your right on the right. So there's two different ways that you can move out of the way if you want somebody, if you want to get out of the way of a ball that's coming cross-court, because a lot of cross-court attacks go out. I would say that there's definitely a higher percentage of cross-court attacks that go out in comparison to down-the-line attacks that actually are going out. So if you want to try to get out of the way of an attack that's coming straight on down the line, then for me, I think it's better actually to move to your non-dominant side. So me being a righty, I would move to my left, right? Because most people like to go to the right shoulder anyway. So I'm going to get my right shoulder out of the equation by moving to my left. But if it's going cross-court or coming from cross-court, then I'll actually move toward the middle. I think it's better to move toward the middle because if it's coming cross-court, then it's moving this way quickly. It's going to be moving to my left side quickly. So if I go out this way, then it's better. And that's one way why people get bagged by cross-court attacks all the time. People will get hit by attacks that are going cross-court all the time because they'll see that it's coming cross-court and then they'll go like this. And you don't actually get yourself out of the way at all. You just kind of lean into the ball and you get hit by it. So if somebody's attacking you cross-court and you want to get out of the way of it, move to the middle. That's kind of a cheat code, or just duck. There's a guy named Max Freeman. You may know him. I've been attacking him cross-court or down the line, actually, just attacking him all over the place in pickleball. He's my student. And he developed a strategy of getting out of the way of my balls that are going out by just ducking. And even he's been having a ton of success just ducking and getting out of the way of balls. So that can be a little risky because if you duck and the attack comes low, well, you can get hit in the face. So if you're going to duck, you have to duck quickly. You have to duck well. But ducking to get out of the way of balls that are going out, I think that's actually the best strategy to do it. The best player that does it, I think, is probably Quang Duong. Quang ducks very well. Makes sense. His dad's name is Duke, or Duck, right? So he's probably taught. You watch him do it when Ben Johns had that headshot on him. Quang actually got out of the way very quickly. You might be familiar with what I'm talking about. When Ben Johns tried to hit Quang super hard, Quang ducked. It was like that viral moment. So getting out of the way by doing this or this is not as effective as just ducking. So that's all we got today. Thanks for watching.